Today, I'm going to be going over my top 16 favorite RC items that you should buy or at least add to your wish list, because believe me, these get quite pricey. And be sure to stick around to the end because we have a bonus mystery item that you won't want to miss. We're going to start this list off with the tiny but mighty Servo Tester. And this thing is incredibly useful because it allows you to center your servos without having to get out your radio, receiver, or bind your radio to the receiver. And that is why it is one of my favorite and most used RC items on this list. The cell checker is an incredibly useful RC item because there's nothing worse than taking off with an RC battery that's already dead. And trust me, you don't want to be like our friend who did that. It didn't end well. It just makes everything much easier and just gives you a visual indicator once you're done flying of what you flow the battery down to. It is another one of my most useful and most used RC items. Superglue and other adhesives are really useful when you're working with your RC models because inevitably something will come unglued or need a little drop of CA or other types of glues, so it's always good to have something like this on hand. Hemostats, or whatever you want to call them, are incredibly useful whether you're digging a servo connector out of a slot or getting a battery strap fed through a slot. They're incredibly useful just being able to have little tines to get into small places that your fingers would not be able to reach. Number 5 is the smoke stopper. It's really useful when you're making a bunch of small solder joints on drones. This isn't applicable to everything, but it is a very nice thing to have around, especially if you're soldering stuff and want to make sure that you didn't accidentally cross any wires. It is really important to store your LiPos in a fire-safe bag, whether it's an ammo box or one of these fire retardant bags, because these can be quite volatile and it's always good to treat them with utmost caution. Number 7 is the high-glue gun, and even if you're not building flight test foam board planes, it is one of the most versatile glues that I have around. When the inevitable happens and you lose a screw, this could come in really handy. An assorted pack of hardware, and trust me, if you're like me, you'll probably get it mixed up. But that doesn't matter, it's important, and it really helps to have all sorts of assorted screws around for when you lose that bolt for your 90-inch scale warbird. I don't have one. Ever wondered if you could fly an 8S pack on your 6S bird? You probably can't, but you could at least double check with this Wattmeter. It allows you to check how many watts your power system puts out and how many amps you're drawing, so you don't overamp your ESC, and this is an incredibly useful tool to have in your toolkit. A pair of calipers is an essential part of my RC toolkit, and I think you should have a pair too because it allows you to measure anything and everything, and even if it's metric, you can convert it to imperial by a simple press of a button. This is a model stand. It's for holding models, hence the name. And it is invaluable when either installing the wings at the field or working on your plane in your shop. And that's why it's on this list. A prop balancer is really useful because you can spin it. Now, in reality, these are really useful for balancing your props, and it allows you to have the maximum performance in your model without a bunch of excess vibrations that take away from your efficiency and your performance. Number 13 is this electric screwdriver set, and it is an incredibly useful tool that I use almost daily. The reason is, it has bits for almost everything you can think of, from flatheads to triangle Phillips bits, which you didn't know existed, and everything else you can imagine. It also comes with a bunch of handy-dandy scrapers, tools, pry bars, and again, RC hobby-grade pry bars, and a brush. So if you don't already have one of these and are looking for a bunch of assorted tools, this is a great option. Number 14 is a soldering iron station, and if you don't already have one of these, you probably at some point are going to want one, and a good high quality soldering iron station that can accurately control the temperature is a must-have for soldering, and it makes it much easier. If you've ever thought, I'm terrible at soldering, you probably ought to try getting a genuine soldering iron station, and this one costs around 90 bucks, which is not too bad. So if you're looking for a soldering iron, this is a solid choice. This is the IMRS-D300, and when I was looking for a charger, I had a lot of options, and this one is by far one of the most affordable and high-end chargers on the market. It does 300 watts AC, which is incredibly good considering its small and compact size. Now, if you don't know exactly what that means, that's okay, but if you're looking for a new charger, this is one of the best options on the market right now. This is the DJI Power 1000, and it is incredibly useful. I love it for charging my batteries or even just a portable power bank on my workbenches. It features 1,000 watt hours of capacity, which is massive, and it's got a very convenient handholds to help you transport it. And you can charge your batteries at the field without having to worry about your battery dying, and you can run this thing for days. Number 17, and the final bonus mystery item on our list, is our 3D printer, the Bambu Lab X1 Carbon, and it is one of my favorite and most used tools in my workshop. and it's just a very versatile item. I've 3D printed RC planes. I've 3D printed and designed a battery tray for my AJ Slick 51-inch, and it is just incredibly useful in all sorts of different fields and applications, from just printing little parts and replacement things to control horns, firewalls for flight test planes. There are just so many uses for it, but it is a bit pricey, and I know it's not for everyone, which is why it's kind of a bonus item. So